Hey everybody, I hope you're having a great Thursday. But as you can see in my title today, I wanted to go over, do men experience shame? And I like to say yes they do. And I can say many men out there would concur, and professional researchers would say the same. We've experienced it very much the same way that women do. But our reasons why we have shame is completely different. So what does society say, and what does society contribute to the fact that we have shame, or that we deal with shame? Well, first off, what does society say that a man should be? Well, society probably say that man can be anyone as long as he is not perceived as being weak. Who can a man be? Well, a man can be anything or anyone as long as he's not perceived as being weak. And how should a man be? Well, he can be any way as long as he's not perceived as being weak. Okay, so we have this idea that as men we can't be weak in society. So what is weak to a man? What is his perception of what weakness is? Well, weakness to man is shame or failure. Failure is shame to him. So what is failure? Well, shame comes about when he fails at work, right? Failure at marriage. Failure with his kids, failure in the bedroom, with money, with this whole idea of what it means to be a man. And then it fills him with the constant, never-ending thing of shame. Basically, the labels put on as being, he's a loser because he doesn't make enough money. Or got a bunch of things coming in. Hey, everybody. Not just that, but the fact that he's got labels, or that he's defective in some way because he doesn't have certain things and has been put or confined to a box. And that becomes something that rules his consciousness or his subconscious life almost all the time. And so men, because of this constant bombardment of what men are supposed to be and the shame that comes along with it, are suffocating under this idea of perfectionism, that they always have to be, strong. They always have to be fearless and powerful, which is just as unattainable as what women face. And women face things differently, and they have their own set of unfair ideas of what perfectionism is. Men have their own, and it comes usually with always being strong, fearless, and powerful, which we can never always just be, because we're human. And there's a story I want to share with you that kind of illustrates this whole idea. It's about a guy named Paul. All right, Paul was raised like a lot of boys were in school, to be an athlete, and he excelled in athleticism. His dad even raised him, said, don't be a pussy, you got to do this, this, and this, otherwise you're not a man. So that fueled his desire to excel in athletics. And he said because of the athletics, it gave him a lot of opportunities. It gave him the ability, one, to be popular. He always dated the best looking girls in school. And because of his athleticism, it took him into college, and it gave him an opportunity to work for a company, a .com company back in the day. And he ended up marrying his college sweetheart. But after a year of working for this .com business, it actually fell apart. And so he had to start going looking for other work. And it was very hard for him to find something that paid the same, because his salary at that point in time was so inflated. And so he had to settle for something that was paying half as much than what he was making before. So he had to take everything, went to his wife, sat down with her, and told him what they needed to do in order to live within the means of what they were making now. And told him, we need to sell our nice cars and get something that's not as expensive, and same with the house, kind of downsize to something that's not as big or fancy, so we can live within our means and not struggle in that financial sense. And what he was met with was something that was very surprising. And that was with this idea and her complaint. Now I completely understand, because you're trying to change the lifestyle from one of luxury and all these things to something that's not as much. Is very difficult, and it's a shock. But he was surprised with the resistance he met from her, and she basically told him, well, I can't believe you would do this. How could you want us to change our lifestyle from this to that and get rid of all of our nice stuff? And then he said the moment that hit him the most is when she asked him this question, and don't you feel terrible that you can't support me? Now, I'm not ridiculing the sexes here by any way, so please don't get me wrong. I'm not singling a woman out as a woman and saying that she's bad for this, but this idea of shame. Because he said at the moment he felt terrible shame. He already felt terrible that he had to downsize and change the lifestyle that he had worked so hard for. But what hurt him was the fact that she basically pointed him out, and almost in a way saying that he was bad, or it's because of him that all these things happened. And it left him feeling even worse about his worth and his purpose as a man. And so to deal with the situation, he went to his father and talked with his father and asked him, look, I don't know what to do here. And he started to cry. He said the first time he actually cried in front of his father. And his father brought back some reinforcement of this whole idea of what it means to be a man, and caused him to bring more shame. And that was this, basically told him, it's like, look, you don't let her talk to you that way. Don't have to tolerate that shit. You're even more of a loser for letting her talk to you like that. And as of work, they want someone who's more demanding, more upfront, who can demand the pay that he deserves. What's wrong with you? And it kind of went through this whole ridicule process, and he said it took him down into a stupor or a depressive state, the lowest he's ever been. And every night he started hanging out with his friends and starting to drink to deal with the reality in which he was facing, or to try and escape the reality in which he was facing. Because his self-worth went from here all the way down here. Because he defined who he was as a man by all the possessions in which he owned. Because that's partly how he was raised. To think that who he is valuable is only contingent upon the women in his life, the cars, the houses, the money, the status, how he looks, all these things. And when that was taken away, his self-worth went to the shitter. Now, the reason I share this is because a lot of men struggle with this. There's a reason why a lot of men have a hard time connecting with themselves and with other people, and the suicide rate is so high amongst men. And that's because they value who they are based on what society says they need to be, instead of realizing everything they need to find peace and happiness is within them. The treasure that they need to find joy and value within themselves is contained within who they are, that has to be discovered and created. And the one way to start doing that, the solution for all this, is usually just coming by not letting shame rule who you are, by owning your shit. What are the facts of your life? What do you really want? What do you really feel? And to stop hiding that and start sharing that. Because the moment they can start doing that, the moment they start changing and altering their perception of who they are, and then altering how their life ends up turning out. So anyways, if there's any of you that is dealing with that same situation, much like I did or Paul, where shame became something that ruled your overall outlook, and your self-worth is starting to take a hit because of it, please like this video or comment below. I'd love to hear more about you and what you're going through. And that way you can realize you're not alone with shame. You're not alone with feeling like the self-worth, or that you're no good because you may not have all these external things. But it all starts within you, and realizing that you have other people out there going through the same thing. But anyways, please like the video, comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day.